mine.
Did you ask Carolyn? Did you call Carolyn?
Oh, Carolyn Schofield.
That's okay. I'm here. I'm here. Thank you. So I don't see anyone from the public, but if there's anyone here that would like to speak during public comment, I will extend the offer. All right, I don't see anybody. So I will close the public comment and move on to reports. So 3A, bylaws and policies. So 3A1. The McHenry County Mental Health Board bylaws. So Bridget, do you want to just like head these and do you want to give them a little
Yeah. You wanna
intro
put
or
on
who's
Amanda
doing what
too?
part?
Yeah. I think we're going to kind of, can you put on Amanda at the same time and Mel?
You did.
So between the three of us, but Amanda really marked up a lot of these policies as our policy guru, so we'll kind of go through these. And as we go through one by one, if anybody has any questions, I think the bylaws policies, a good portion of that one had to do with just our change in our structures. Amanda, anything else besides that? Feel free to jump in.
Article 5, we added the officer succession to match our other policies, and I think because that was not in the bylaws, we didn't know it existed anywhere else, and so that would fix the problem that we had with officer election.
Great.
And I do want to just add that we converted the committee structure to a committee of a whole structure, but we kept the ability to have ad hoc committees if needed.
Can I just ask a general question? With the committee of the whole, I'm assuming that, as it's referenced in here, that a regular board meeting would qualify as a committee of the whole in the bylaws as well, right? Because we're convening as a whole? Because there were some that it may not necessarily be a formalized, like, committee of the whole. It may actually be during a board meeting. Do you know if those could be interchanged?
I believe it's how you label it on the agenda.
Right.
Because I guess in particular, and I don't know if it's right in this one or when it gets to like the finance portion, when we've like do away with the finance stuff, it might be in a different policy than this one, but now that I'm looking at but when we talk about, I mean, just in general questions, so.
I guess what's your concern about interchanging them? Because at a regular board meeting, you would be voting, whereas a committee of the whole would be.
Right, I guess it was like a presentation of the, and like I said, I don't know if it's this one, it was referenced a few times, but where it said like, where it did away with the Finance and Audit Committee. So it said Committee of the Whole during that, the finance, but I'm thinking if it was a time when we wanted to address the financial portion, like, there was a specific one about adjustments, or I forget what it was. I have to look through again. But it was saying, at the committee of the whole, but I was thinking if we didn't have a committee of the whole plan just for that specific, like approval of a bill or whatever, it was approval of the attorneys.
Sure.
So if we could just do it during a regular committee or board meeting.
Yeah.
Is that fine too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Are there, okay, so any questions on the bylaws or any discussion? Anyone? All right. Looks like bylaws are good. Then we can move on to 3A2. So just to, and so I know this is new for everyone, so while we're moving along through this, just wanted to say, we will not be taking any votes tonight. We will discuss it. If you have any input or would like any changes made to the policies that are presented, make those comments now, and then everything will move over to the board meeting that we're having next week, and then that's when we'll do the voting. Okay?
And just to tail on that is the hope is to put all these on consent agenda. So hopefully all of this discussion and any suggestions we could go through tonight, make the changes that you would like to be put onto consent. That doesn't mean you can't make changes that night, but it'd be nice if that's how we would do that. And then the meeting on Tuesday would be, a lot more efficient that way. So if you have any suggestions, if you have any comments or any wording changes, give them to us tonight.
Yep. All right, so 3A2.
Okay. Mel, would you like to comment on this one at all? No?
There were no
Okay.
changes in,
Yeah, there was no change.
oh, wait,
Okay.
there was a
There was-
finance
there was a-
committee. Yeah, there was just switching the finance committee with Cal.
Correct. Again, this
And
is
that's,
just,
this is the one I was referring to.
Yes.
Like if it wasn't necessary, if we weren't holding a cow then, that we'd
Right.
be able to just take care of it during a regular board meeting.
correct,
Okay.
yes. Yes. A lot of these, you're just going to see switches of the structure of the cow from the committees.
So any comments on agency request for cash advances? All right, then moving right along to 3A3, approval of legal services. It was also on this one, was my comment. For some reason, I think it was in this one too. Any explanation that you feel on this one, or any
This one
comments on
didn't
it?
have any changes. No changes on this one.
No.
Okay, then we'll go to 3A4, audit and appeals policy and procedures. Just that,
There were no changes on this one either.
there's just like a minor one, I think, yeah. Yeah, Right.
Changed super.
Yeah,
Good catch, good catch. DASSA doesn't exist any longer.
correct.
all right, then 3A5, board policy rules and procedures.
This one, we did adjust. It lists the order of the meeting, it lists the order of the agendas, and we adjusted this to reflect the current agendas, to include operational report instead of director's report.
And finance report.
Yeah.
Versus a committee. Mhm.
Any comments or discussion on that one? All right, then 3A6, capital fund requests. Just minor changes on that.
Why is that one purple?
Just softened it.
I don't know.
It depends who's making the edit. So
Yeah.
Each person that's making the edit is a different color. So if
We were trying to
somebody
manifest spring.
does one, then the next person does it, so you can differentiate who makes the changes.
Okay, no, any discussion, questions? All right, 3A7, chain of command. All right, then 3A8, fiduciary payments, monitoring and auditing.
Do you want to talk about this one now?
Mel?
I mean, if
Yeah.
there's any questions.
Yeah, are there any questions on this one? Because Mel can speak to this one.
This was the one that had that too, with committee of the whole versus the finance and
Yeah.
audit committee. That was the one, that's the one specifically, that if it was okay, if we had legal services and we weren't having a committee of the whole, that we could bring it to the board.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we can just have the disclosure in the financial report, and it's just part of the regular board
Board
meeting.
Okay. that's
And
what-
at every board meeting, we always have a finance portion on every regular board meeting. So we can always bring anything finance related to any regular board meeting.
That's what I figured, so, okay, great, I wanted to clarify that.
Sure.
Any questions or discussion on this one?
Yeah, otherwise, the only thing that changed was like titles, so.
Great. No? All right, then 3A10, Freedom of Information Act policy.
Actually, it was 3A8, which is the financial
I'm
audit
sorry.
requirements.
Oh, yeah, did I skip 3A9? Sorry, I did,
Yeah.
didn't I? 3A9, financial audit requirements funded providers. I was wondering
Okay,
why it
this
didn't match
one.
up with my page I was going through.
So this one is a big change. We have been requiring anybody receiving $50,000 or more a year from us get a full financial audit. An audit these days costs anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. So this is a big burden on a lot of our agencies. State funding requires, I believe it's $400,000 for an audit. So we're kind of proposing that we change our policy to be $400,000 as well. And if they do already do an audit for somebody else, we are asking that they submit it. We will still be getting financial documents from them, but not audited ones, just ones that they have their either internal bookkeeper or their, auditor, or not auditor, their accountant prepare for them. And then our position is we can look at those, and if we have any concerns, we have staff that are capable of going out and reviewing the source materials and seeing, if there's any concerns. So that's what we're doing with this policy. So if you have any questions or concerns about that.
And do you go and look through them? You go and
The
look at-
financial audits, yeah, we review them every year in detail, and we have not, we're relying on the fact that this was an external audit done by an outside auditor, and we rely on that information. If we're taking, their source documents and we're seeing concerns, then, like I said, we would, go in and maybe do some auditing of our own and see if we have any concerns and look into more detail in their source, like say their personnel records or whatever.
So you just get their financial records instead of their audited records now?
Yeah, we're basically saying we would ask for a statement of financial position, a balance sheet, a full trial balance from them, so we can kind of see, break down by individual account what the expenses were. So like if we're seeing, questionable expenses. So that's what we're kind of looking at, asking for in lieu of a set of audited financial statements. So we will get financial records, just not an audited set.
This kind of we can kind of explain how it got brought to light because of the agency. We had an agency that was funded this last year that just hit that went over the threshold, this $50,000 threshold.
for the
So
first
then
time.
we had to request an audit, which would have put them at, it was very burdensome on them.
Yeah.
So this has then made us reevaluate this policy. So that is how we came to this conclusion, and Mel did some research on it, and that's why we're coming to you with this.
Great. Adam?
I defer to James. He had
Oh.
a question first, then I'll.
Can you just press your button there?
Just push it one time and
The,
then
like,
she'll
speaker guy?
activate you.
Yep. I don't see you.
Just one time. You should see it.
Should, there we go, here we go.
Sometimes you have to.
All right, there we go. You're on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just how many folks would that change? How many different agencies, if I may ask, would that account for, that would be at that 400 level?
Probably maybe half of our agencies.
Okay.
Some of them are already, the bigger ones are obviously getting audits, Rose grants and thresholds. They're getting enough federal and state funding that they're required it. Some of the smaller agencies, most of the smaller agencies are over that $50,000 threshold. So, it's a lot of them. There's very few under that threshold now. So probably a good half would not have to get an audit done.
Okay.
And what was the quote that they got for this audit?
Oh, she had anything from $7,000 to $22,000 were the quotes this one agency was getting to get an audit done.
Right.
So,
Okay, just curious. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, do you have a question, Adam?
Just a quick comment, question / concern. If we put this in here at 400,000, we're kind of limiting ourselves if somebody needs to be audited. Are we able to still audit them? Because I'm funded at $400,000 or more annually. They're required to submit, but we can audit them separately as well.
right, we would still be able to go in at any level.
And that's what I just wanted to make sure we weren't
Yeah.
changing that.
No, the $400,000 would be the threshold we're setting, where we're saying we wanted them to get an outside audit and submit it to us. And most of them receiving that level of funding are also the bigger agencies that are still getting it for another reason. So it's not like it would probably be burdensome to any of
Okay.
those agencies.
That's all I had.
Anyone else? And welcome, John. We are on, now we're on 3A10. Did you have any, I'll go back if you had any comments earlier. I do not. Okay. So 3A10, Freedom of Information Act policy.
No changes.
Any discussion? Could I just ask a question on this one? What are you guys seeing? Are you guys seeing any, I know there's like legislation now, and I know a lot of other governmental agencies are seeing a lot of burdensome FOIA requests. I mean, I wouldn't think that we're that, kind of that social media kind of board, but are you seeing anything that's really burdensome or anything?
No, we're not.
Okay, good.
We have not. There is a lot of changes with the FOIA with as legislation changes with not having to open attachments and all of those types of things, but we are not seeing a big intake, influx into any of our FOIAs yet, so if
And
that's
did
what
you-
you're asking.
That attachment one, yeah, I didn't even think about that one. Did
Yeah.
you find any issues with that, people being able to submit it? And did we change the way that we do ours? I haven't looked, honestly.
No.
Because I know I've come across some that are still like, oh, fill this out and send it back, but yet they have to open the attachment in order to do that, so.
No, yeah.
Ours is easy to do? Okay.
Ours is easy to do because they just go to our form and fill it out. And yeah, we have not had any issues yet.
Okay,
And not a big influx.
Okay,
Not yet. Nope.
good to know. We'd like
Yep.
to keep it that way.
Yep.
So any other discussion on that one? Otherwise, 3A11, fund balance reserve.
The only change to this one was adjusting it from Finance Committee to Committee of the Whole.
Any comments on this one? This one we put in place last year, I think, and everyone's still good? We'll revisit this one annually, too, so, okay, great. 3A12, general policy statements.
This one, we had a question, it's highlighted yellow. I want to pull it up, but it refers to the mental health, the McHenry County mental health sales tax, that the mental health board is accountable to the McHenry County mental health sales tax,
Tax levy.
Levy. And that has changed. So our thoughts, I guess we wanted some feedback from you regarding this one.
Like if you want to change it to sales tax or
Right.
leave it as tax levy?
Yeah?
Right.
What's it technically called?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
I was going to say, is it still a sales tax levy, right? Yeah,
still a,
yeah,
Generalized, I think we're okay.
right.
yeah. I think it's still a levy.
Sometimes that is still over.
Right.
Right. That's why we highlighted and didn't redline.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. Do you want to say something?
Yes, I do. I just had, it's more of like a clarification for me, since I'm trying to understand some of these, and this is the first time I've seen this, but the first paragraph of the introduction, if you look down the second half to number 4, I'll read it verbatim. It says, developing a written 3-year plan for a program of community behavioral health services and facilities, including programs for those with intellectually and developmental disabilities, substance use disorders, and traumatic brain injury. Is it in our plan, the traumatic brain injury, or I thought the 3 areas that we were focusing on, the third being mental health disorders. Traumatic brain injury is very specific.
Do you know? Yeah, you're right, and I don't know that we've discussed that before.
Yeah, that is interesting. You can speak to it. You just,
Can I
yeah, absolutely.
It was originally added many years ago when we were funding the Epilepsy Foundation, and we supported more programs directed towards traumatic brain injury. So I believe that at that time, that's why that was specifically added as an inclusion that, we would be able to assist with funding for those programs. They would be considered.
And do you know, does that fall within the Community Mental Health Act?
I can speak to that. A lot of mental health boards include traumatic brain injury under developmental disability or intellectual disability. It's a different diagnosis, but the treatment is similar. And so in a lot of cases where you have day programs or services for people with IDD, traumatic brain injury is included in that because there's not separate treatment for them. So the mental health board has the ability to choose what falls underneath mental health, substance use, and IDD. And at some point, this board chose to include TBI under that.
Okay, great. I know.
Well, the only reason I bring it up is because it can't fall under one of the other categories. It's a very specific type of treatment and recovery plan for traumatic brain injury that could fall under developmentally disabled. But my feeling would, if you include mental health disorders, that's more encompassing.
Right.
we cast a bigger net and can draw more providers. Not that it would take away from what we're doing currently or presently.
I can clear it up.
I just thought out of consistency to put it in there.
Tom, I couldn't hear when you said where you read this. Where
I have
was
it.
that?
It's right here.
Introductory paragraph.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Second
got it.
half, number 4.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, it is odd that it's listed out
Can I
separately.
have Chris jump in real quick? She said she could clarify, so.
So part of probably the area of confusion is that developmental disability does not always include TBI because developmental disability has to be incurred up until the age of 22, and TBI sometimes occurs after that. So to be to formally fall under DD, it has to be in the developmental period. But because you can experience a traumatic brain injury as an adult, leading to the same consequences and symptoms as a developmental disability or an intellectual disability, that can be included specifically as a distinct category that also qualifies. To your point, the DSM does include TBI, but it's to ensure that we are able to encompass services to that population, having it distinctly identified might be a good idea.
So does it fall outside of behavioral health services? No. That's what I,
Yeah, that's my
That's-
point, is
I-
if it doesn't fall outside behavioral health services.
It's not developmental disability and intellectual disability, and arguably it's not a mental illness, so that's part of which one is it?
well, I guess, so like it says behavioral health services. Oh, behavioral health services?
There was somewhere else it was mentioned too.
And I guess it was, so it falls all within behavioral health services, though, is the all-encompassing. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because like in other areas, as long as we're using that generalized term, we don't need to be specific. I guess I'm thinking, good catch, first of all, Tom, because but as long as we're capturing it in other areas, if we want to do, I mean, I don't think we've really had this come up in any of the providers before that, since I've been here, but just making sure we don't need to have that decision to put it anywhere else.
No, I'm good because being a veteran myself, a lot of veterans come home and have sustained traumatic brain
Right.
injuries as a result of a combat zone.
Right?
Whether-
I know at Penn, we had someone come up to us with it specifically, so, yeah, and so but I guess I was looking, do we need to put it anywhere else? Or do we need to have that discussion of including it anywhere else? But I think we usually use behavioral.
It falls under our 3-year plan.
Oh, it's in the NOFA? Okay.
It talks about our 3-year plan. As
Which
a-
is our strategic plan, which is,
And-
yeah.
Would that be one of our goals, is to address traumatic brain injury?
We can have that discussion under, I'm sure it would fall under one of the areas we talked about. So that will be next month, we'll start those discussions.
Where is it in the rubric?
Okay.
In the rubric and the
Chris, did you want to add anything? You're
Okay.
good?
in the first
Yeah, I'm good.
paragraph of
Oh, sorry, are you there? Oh my gosh, I have a whole list. Let me just, if there was something, let me have Chris just finish up, then I'll
Well,
get to it.
yeah, I was just looking at the NOFA, so that's jumping.
It is, yeah, it's stated in the
It's there.
rubric and
And then
in the
it
NOFA.
lists the
Yeah.
authority contained in the Community Mental Health Act and the Chapter Act on section.
Good to know, thank you. Okay, Amy.
Yes, so
leaving it in.
thank you, Tom, because I would have not seen that, so thank you for surfacing that. And then right after that, where we go into is charged with the responsibility for, it specifically says, so it says number 1, executing programs, right under that, it specifically says the sales tax. Do we want to have that match the levy, so we're not using 2 different terms? Do you see what I'm saying? So later on, under the purpose of general policy statements where you highlighted the mental health tax levy, but then in the opening paragraph, we specifically say the county sales tax. Do we just want to make that the tax levy as well so that so the words match? Yeah, so there's consistency,
I would agree.
just so it's not, so it's clear. Okay.
And then we don't have to change it in case something changes in the future.
I see.
Because there's always the potential that if need be, like the county does have the ability to levy additional if there was some reason moving forward.
Maybe, sorry, Maybe just do a
Ooh.
general fund for sales tax and make sure it's not anywhere else in there.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, anybody else?
So do we see we're keeping
Okay.
this in?
Then we will move on to, Is general policy? Yep. Hold on, I want to make sure I match.
Got it, okay.
Not to remove it, just to
Yeah.
recognize that.
You guys are good?
That's what I took from it.
Okay, so 3A13, witnessing of document. No. I do not see any other. All right, then that will, any comments or anything? Did you, yep, you got one? Okay. Oh, shoot, sorry. Can you hit your thing again? It's really hard, the screen needs to be bigger on here.
There we go.
There you go.
I just want to make sure that we have notaries within our
She's shaking her head yes back there. Yeah, yes. So I would think it's Amanda, because she's.
Lindsay.
Oh,
Lindsay's
Lindsay, all right. Excellent.
good to go.
All right, okay.
Not had one before, but we do have.
Excellent, very good. Thanks. Okay, anything else under the bylaws and policies for discussion, or else we will move on? Okay, then we're going to move on to 3B, building and grounds for discussion. 3B1, yearly report and possible yearly building projects. Bridget, I assume that's you.
Okay, so I will whip through this report. Our facility management maintenance team, there was a total work hours for FY25, 155.5 hours. That does not include the travel time that they did last year. We did contract with them again this year for FY26. There has been some talk about not being able to contract with them over the years because they have been taking on extra buildings as they go on. So this is a year-to-year contract, and so we will have to continue to have conversations with them. So this year they are contracting with us, and that's going very well. Our inspections all were conducted this last year. Everything was fine. Our AEDs are all new this year, and they are actually all on Wi-Fi now. So they have automatic reports, so we don't have to walk around and do the inspections manually anymore. We get these monthly reports from the county that says that they are working and working properly. And all of the pads, the adult, the child, and the infant patches are all up to date, and they expire in 10 of 2030. That was a question before. All of our backflow, our fire and safety tests, and our elevator tests are all up to date. All of our drills were conducted, and we have a couple coming up soon. And then our major projects that were completed this last year were our carpet portions of our tenant area. We had some carpet squares in the elevator area, which you can see that were done, and then in the Rosecrans tenant area and the conference room. Just those two areas, right? We had complete? Yep. And then we had some paint done of the conference room and all of the halls upstairs. And then the wood was replaced, was repaired, and the fascia and outside, up front, and all the way around was all completed and updated. Our planned projects for this year that were budgeted is our parking lot CO coating. We do that every other year. Our CRC bathroom remodel. That's next on the agenda, and I'll have Amanda speak to that because she's been integral in that project, but that's next on our agenda. And then we always put some money in the budget for our HVAC in case we have any repairs, replacement. And then these are the projects that we need to have some discussions on as a board. What you are thinking about. So for FY27, we're going to need some direction for Mel to feed some stuff into the budget. There is some legislation that's going, all of these lights throughout the buildings are going to have to be LED And so we will not be able to purchase fluorescents, and so all of these lights will have to be replaced. We did get an initial estimate of $65,000, so that will have to be done at some point in time, but we are seeking grants.
I said we have a lot of lights.
We have a lot of lights, both sides. We are seeking some grants, but we could do it half this year, half next year. That is one project that could be discussed. Of course, always putting HVAC into the budget, evaluating offices to be painted. And then for FY27, considering a building assessment report, because that is something that some board members have talked about in the past. Us as a staff, we've talked about it, and we have a maintenance agreement on our roof. We have a maintenance agreement on our, on our HVAC. We do maintenance on our wall. We do maintenance on so much stuff in this building. I'm not sure that that's the best use of dollars to do a full assessment. That is something that we can have that conversation about. But those full building assessments can run $10,000, $15,000, and I think we have a pretty good handle on the building. So that's obviously a conversation for you to have. I'm not necessarily sure that that's needed at the building. Our building, our roof, the people that we contract with give us a life on our roof and our HVAC. We have all of that information already. Then moving into FY28, we would probably assess the roof. Our current roofing company says that our life estimate is 2030 to 2035. Start looking at the parking lot, but we would like to explore some grant opportunities for that. There's some appropriations options that we talked to our grant writer about that we could possibly put in for our parking lot and maybe make it a little more ADA accessible. And then again, HVAC. So those are some of the long-term projects that we've kind of mapped out year by year. And we would like some input and some discussion on those.
Okay, so aside from the bathroom, because we're going to be talking about that, and then the energy, do you want to save the LED for, is that the energy discussion? Okay.
That's a different discussion.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have a question on that one.
Yeah.
What's the deadline for those LED?
Well, they're going to stop selling the fluorescents in January 27.
Okay, and there's no deadline as far as when we need to install it, though?
No, it's just
That's when we run out of light
when we run out of light bulbs.
Oh, okay.
So some people are going to stockpile light bulbs, and some
Right.
people are, yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And then,
Yeah, but you know, Mel made a really good point. You know, if you're not pre-planning this, some of that labor is going to start really increasing. I mean, everyone's going to be fighting for that same labor at the same jobs. People are out there doing the same work.
no,
right?
I was just making sure we had time to split it, is what I was.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then the other question I had was on the building assessment. I thought that you gave us, I guess I thought that satisfied. I don't know if anybody else. I thought that was what satisfied what we were requesting.
great. I'm
I don't
glad
know.
to hear that.
Others can weigh in on that, but, so I will now turn it over to Adam.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
When we're talking about the LED light replacement, is that quote that came from county staff to do that, or that was independent?
Yeah, we had somebody, we had an independent contractor, electrician. We gave them the schematics of the building, and they gave us a general quote.
Okay. Just, I know, because we did this at the police department before they stopped using it, they returned everything over, and it seemed like a good investment of our money. But there was a problem with some power supply issues, and that's something that maybe we should talk to the county about for building maintenance, and maybe talk to them about spreading out that work over when they're here. I don't know if that's an option or no.
Will not
They won't
work
do it.
for us.
They won't do that?
They don't have the capacity to do that work here. They just don't have the capacity. They're going to be either doing their own building, or they're going to be contracting out their buildings.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're getting quotes to do
Can we
their
jump
own.
on whatever contract
I have asked, yeah. So there is a possibility that we can jump on theirs as well, their quotes. So we've been
We're
talking to
technically a
FM.
government building, but not.
Right. And I just don't know if it will be beneficial or not. It's not always, as you're going to find out in our next energy discussion, it's not always beneficial to be on.
Oh, I'm well aware, trust me, I'm
Yeah,
well aware.
so I think we can quote with them and quote out and then go forward and see. But also, we might have the opportunity to get some grants for it. So we're kind of looking at all the options.
Do we know how many county buildings, because I think the courthouse is already LED.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but, so you have the admin building, animal control. I'm assuming with the new health department, I'm assuming they did that if they did the expansion. So I'm not sure what others, so.
I also feel like it should be pointed out that it's not just popping in a new bulb.
Yeah.
All of the lights need the
Yeah, it's the whole
ballast.
fixture, the
Yes.
ballast, everything.
Right.
It's not an easy thing. If
No.
we're changing light bulbs, I can do that. That's not.
Right, right.
Any other questions? I say we save our light bulbs and then sell them in a couple years when they're going to be worth a lot of money, and then we'll pay for the project. Oh, here's John. John.
Two, though, and I think you even had mentioned that you can do this in stages. You can do this 25% at a time.
Sure.
Save your lights, right? Save the
Yes.
bulbs. But yeah, the balusters all have to be replaced. But to a lesser, there's no power need. And I think as time goes on, the switch will get easier and cheaper. So I would maybe do 25%.
Okay,
But I'm not going to tell you how to do it. You know, or it's not my place to micromanage your great job. But I know in the civilian world, people are doing it in small stages because every year things go down.
no, that's a valid point. That's a really good point. And that's the advice that we're looking for as we start budgeting for it. And those are that's the direction we're going to want as we start building the budget, so.
Yeah, so I think we have consensus to start it when you're interested, and then start including in the budget and phasing it in, so. But
Perfect.
it looks like it's not, it'll be coming up in our budget discussions, right?
And obviously,
What
if
that
you
might
find
look
the
like.
grant for it, we'll move forward with it.
Perfect.
Right.
Any other discussion on that? All right, then on to the bathroom update.
I'm going to hand that one over to Amanda because she has been doing a lot of work on the bathroom update.
Spent a lot of time in those bathrooms.
Yes.
We finished our bid process. We received 3 bids to renovate the bathrooms over in the CRC and also to convert Office 122 to a ADA single-use bathroom. And the good news is that all of the bids came in under budget. They ranged about $45,000 in bids, and we did go with the lowest bid, but we also feel like it was a really good fit for the work we're doing. So the contract has been signed, and McCap has been informed about the change, and they're very, very excited, which is good to hear. And they know their office is going to be moving. They know where. They know if it's too loud for them, there's places for them to go right now and take individuals if it's too loud or too disruptive. And then the company that's going to be doing the work is aware that McCap is there. And very cognizant of that. So we just wanted to make sure there's a lot of communication back and forth. There will always be a bathroom open, so the company is going to start with simultaneous one of the existing bathrooms and building the new bathroom. And then when that's finished, they'll go to the other bathroom. So there's always one available for McCap to use. And we're really excited to get this process going. So I hope they look very nice when we're done.
Any questions? Oh, thanks for your work on that. Exciting that it came under budget, too. All right, now the energy discussion.
Okay. Mel, we're going to hand this one over to you.
All right, so everybody has a little handout, so you can kind of see the numbers I'm talking about. So basically, for the last 8 years, we've been on the county's energy agreement with Constellation Energy. And as part of that agreement, we had a fixed service cost and a fixed energy cost. Well, they just renewed in December the new 4-year contract, which is going to happen until 2029. They have a fixed service cost, but not a fixed energy cost. So now we are going to be paying market rate for energy. And kind of to give you an idea of what's happening is, we were paying 5 cents a kilowatt hour. In December, the first month, we weren't on the fixed rate one. We paid 2 cents a kilowatt hour. But then in January, we're at 10 cents a kilowatt hour. So we're seeing, potential for a much higher energy cost this year. So we just wanted to make you guys aware that that was the case. Unfortunately, we were not notified that that's what the agreement they were signing, so we didn't really have any opportunity to explore any other options. And I kind of looked at what our highest usage was last year, and that was in, July through August with air conditioning. And with the fixed rate costs, we were at $1,900 of energy cost, and if we were at the higher, 10 cents, that would have been $3,400. So it's like a 79% swing from one year to the next without having that fixed energy cost. So just making you aware, we're most likely going to have much higher than budgeted energy costs, and we're going to budget for more energy next year, so.
Any questions? Are there any options?
Pardon?
Are there any options? Like, I think you mentioned like that, we're with the county, but is there any option of getting out and exploring, or would we stuck
Yeah,
with the regular market rate anyways?
I think, we're tied into that contract now for 4 years, and
Okay.
at the end of it, we can explore options. I don't know that there's any way we can be pulled out of it now. I guess that's a question we could ask the lawyer, or we could consult with, FM to see what our options are, but I don't think we'd have any.
No, this is totally new to me,
Oh, wait, hold on, John. I'm sorry, and Amy, I saw you ahead, but let me put John, and then I'll get to you. I checked, and nobody wanted to speak, and now everyone wants to speak. So, John, go ahead.
Well, you just piqued my curiosity and being totally naive to this. But January 12/18 to January 21 was 2 cents a kilowatt hour, and then it spiked to 10 cents.
Yeah.
So are you going to see, oh my gosh, it's what, 80% changes up and down? Are you
Yeah.
going to see this all?
This is
So
new
we'll
to me
see-
too,
we'll see
because
some
we've had a
2
fixed rate for the last 8 years, so
Right.
I'm not really sure how much it's going to fluctuate,
So-
but for, an 80% difference from one month to the next, I'm sure we're probably going to even see higher than that 10 cents in some months.
Would you expect to see lower too, or?
It's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible.
I don't know
What
what would
the heck,
cause a swing
range?
from
Why
December through
couldn't-
January.
Why couldn't that be leveled off under some kind of an agreement? I can't understand. I'm totally naive to that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was
Anything
kind of,
further
unfortunately,
from me,
so are
we're in
we.
the
We
weeds,
haven't been
but-
at the negotiation
Yeah.
table, so I'm not sure why the county chose to sign a contract without a fixed rate. If, the rate they were
I
offered
don't know
was
if
too
they had
high,
a-
or.
Yeah, I don't know if they had a choice.
Or if they were even given a choice.
I
So-
don't, I don't want to speak to that without
Yeah.
having too much information.
So we've reached out to them to get more information
Yeah.
as to,
Yeah, I'd look for that because.
Yeah, I don't know that they had too much of a choice.
Yeah.
I'd like to get more information on that before we speak to that, because I don't know how much of a
right,
choice
and
they
I
had.
don't know what other options we would have had outside what they did
'Cause
anyways.
I don't, yeah,
I mean, on a
So-
consumer, you couldn't get away with that.
right, well, right. So,
Amy?
Yeah, so my understanding is that Illinois, that this has been a change that's been really affecting the entire state, because there were I don't know, there was legislation, there were things in place that were forcing fixed costs, and then those expired. So homeowners, like everyone is experiencing. So I don't want to blame the county. I don't think there
Right,
is
exactly.
fixed cost anymore.
I don't know that they were even given the option to have
Yeah,
it fixed.
unless you do solar, which has become the big option. You can rent the solar panels, and then the benefit is that you get a fixed cost. That's what it is now. That's- But that wasn't my comment. Is this, and I don't know how hard this is to research, but I'm assuming the reason we're switching our lights is because they're more energy efficient. Do we gain anything even if we just did like a simple kilowatt hours? You know, if we fix the lights out faster, yeah, we got to sink more costs into replacing things. But is this going to drive down that variable rate a little bit if we do it sooner rather than later?
You know, I think most of our cost is driven by our HVAC.
Yeah.
Is that, it's not the
by
lights?
our-
Not by our
That's
by
fair.
our lights. All of
Yeah.
our lights are on sensors. The rooms
Right.
are dark when they're not lit up, when there's not people in there.
So it's just going to be seasonal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, and I don't know off the top of our head with our rental agreements as far as the landlord, are we covering the cost of the electricity? And is that something that we can, I don't want to say tax on, but like, there's been a change. Can we put like a small service fee to kind of offset some of this, not to take that
Well,
burden, but
not in this year's leases, but potentially in future leases.
and I didn't know if that's included and just say, you know,
Yeah.
that's an opportunity there going forward, any leases that we have that would be, that's something that's out of our control. And I was going to say the same thing Amy said, this is a statewide thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is affecting everybody and everyone's upset about it too.
Right.
So.
Right. A lot of this is just legislation and
And the LEDs
without any
will save
choice.
some, but
Right.
you're still looking at delivery costs, which is the expensive part. That was the same thing that was happening in northern Indiana?
Yeah.
A few months ago, nothing has changed, you know, these gas, I think it was gas, but the same kind of thing. So we'll
Right.
probably be experiencing that shortly too, but.
I think we'd benefit more by putting sensors, better sensors on our HVAC than worried about those sensors on our lighting, because we have a lot of expense. That's where we could see more savings in this building. Our sensors on these are very antiquated, so maybe that's where we would see some cost savings, is being able to control the temperature in the rooms and maybe taking those down. Sometimes these rooms get very hot and very cold when they should not. So that's what's probably driving that.
Yeah, that's
The
a really good
spikes.
idea. And then also, I mean, Adam, you bring up a really good point on the leases, and you hate to raise anybody, I mean, but it's just, you know, dollar for dollar what our costs are. We do have to consider reflecting it when those are renewed. And we'll have a year, I mean, we'll have the year of what our numbers, our actual numbers, as backing of justification for that too.
Right.
Well, when we started leasing originally, we did it based on cost. And we'd take, you know, the total cost divided by square footage, and whatever square footage you had in the office, that's what you'd pay. It was like the craziest idea. And we're actually charging more than we ever charged for cost per square foot. So
Yeah, and we
it's just something to
do,
consider.
we do an all-in-one price, right, per square foot. But we have removed a lot of things from rental pricing. We've removed phone, we've removed, we've removed a lot of things that us as tenants, we should not be providing for so many reasons. And so we're going to see these cost savings as we go along. And then as we move forward, we can then be adjusting our price. But we also want to make sure that we have an attractive price to make sure that we're filling our offices. So I think there's a
Balance.
balance, right? So, and maintain our sales tax exemption. So, I mean.
Property tax exemption.
exemption, yeah.
Oh, right, I'm not
Right.
saying make more money, I'm saying just if it, you know, if we're paying more.
Right.
We can't be losing money.
Absolutely, right. Absolutely. Yeah, property tax, yeah.
Yep, okay. Any other discussion on the energy? I mean,
Yeah.
not much discussion to be had.
No, it's just one
when
we're
you
going to
no
have to
choice.
watch. Maybe it's just something we can report out on, and we'll keep an eye on.
Oh, yep. Oh, no, hold on one second. There you go. There you go.
But to formalize, I thought you had a great idea, Bridget. Do we want to, in the 27, 28 budget, look at HVAC sensors as a potential, at least get a quote to
We
figure out
can
what that
easily
would
get a quote on that from from Sherman, because that's who we contract with, and they would be happy to give us quotes, I'm sure, and we can present that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Next. Oh, go ahead.
So I think we're going into financial now. So I just wanted to give a quick.
No, we
No,
skipped.
we're on ethics.
We're on ethics.
Oh, no,
Yep.
finances, am I looking at the wrong agenda?
Probably we're on ethics for the
Sorry, I opened up the
NOFA.
agenda.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I think we did, yeah, so.
Yep, so now we're on
So we're in
3C, ethics for discussion. 3C1, FY27 NOFA, it's the sales tax funding and rubric. Is that
Okay.
Amanda?
All right. Can you put Amanda on, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Amanda and Vicky, possibly.
Yeah, we'll share.
You want to take my,
Clicks it, no.
okay.
So you'll remember at Board Development Day, we kind of talked about the next cycle of funding and the rubric, and we got some feedback from you, and we have incorporated some of that feedback into our rubric. Particularly, Chris had a good idea that the truth is evidence-based is more of a description of the program and not how you evaluate, so we moved that to a different section. But before you is a copy of what we're hoping the NOFA for the sales tax and rubric for the sales tax funding and the opioid funding will look like. So if you guys want to take a look at the sales tax funding, NOFA, and rubric, Vicki, do you want to add on any changes?
The NOFA, there really wasn't any changes. It's just reformatted so that it can be posted with the ADA compliance. Yeah, I don't believe we had really any changes.
The rubric is a little different.
Do you want to just touch on like the philosophy with that one? And it looks a little simplified and how it's going to change then when we're evaluating?
Sure. So looking at the previous rubric, we realized there were a lot of questions on the application that we weren't actually evaluating in the rubric, and vice versa. So there were things on the rubric that there was no questions about in the application. So we took a good look at both of those, and, you know, why are we asking this? Is this important to us? Is this a redundant question? Does this fit in the correct location? And based on those types of things, we adjusted both the application and then went back and adjusted the rubric, right? We did the application first. And so that's why it's a little different. In some places, we thought this question doesn't really apply anymore, or this question doesn't really get to what we're looking for, so can we reword it or wordsmith it, or do we even want it? And that's how we came up with what we've got. It looks different. It's not as pretty because we will be posting this on our website, and our website needs to be ADA compliant, and there's rules about color and contrast and backgrounds.
boxes and-
Text, yeah, and text boxes, so it's a little more basic looking of a document.
Okay.
We also wanted to move forward with something that was fair and equitable. That's
Yeah.
That is really how we started this, a fair and equitable process moving forward.
So we actually, we took applications from a very large agency that we fund and from a brand-new agency that just was funded for the first time this past year, and kind of ran them both through the rubric. And it was sufficient for both.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure we were kind of all-encompassing.
Amy?
sorry, and now I lost it. Sorry. I am looking at I want to make sure I've got the right one. So I'm looking at the draft FY27 NOFA annual funds. Domains 1 and 3, we talked extensively about having increased or sustained as the wording, I believe, rather than just increased, because we would talk about how maybe I didn't actually increase my knowledge, but I continued to have a level of functioning for domain 3. Am I misremembering? But I thought we had this conversation several times in ethics.
Domains 1, 3, and 7, they currently are and reporting on improved or increased and maintained or sustained.
Okay.
It's just not specified.
In the bullet, but
Right.
when we look at evaluating, the language about sustaining is in there. It's just the bullet doesn't have that. Okay, I am satisfied.
We can adjust that.
Is this going to be public-facing, what we've got in this document here? I would be more comfortable with the adjustment. I hate to make more work.
Fine.
I will, if I'm being oversensitive, then I'm fine, being told that I'm being oversensitive. I would prefer like an increased / sustained or increased or sustained, but that's me. I'm totally willing to be told I'm wrong.
It's good feedback.
You're not.
Adam?
Is this a summary that we're sending out? Because I know the actual application, didn't that break that down and have all that sustained and maintained language in it?
It does.
Yeah.
Right.
But we could just say summary, or puts the word summary on there. And that way, this is not all encompassing. It kind of says, hey, this is the preview for the full movie. You gotta pay for it, I guess. I don't know. I'm open to whatever. I know in the past when looking at those domains in the binder, that they were spelled out more specifically like you were talking about, and
Right.
I'm good with either way, but
Any comments, Vicki?
whatever works for you guys. I mean, you guys are the ones that are
Okay.
handling it. If it doesn't meet it, we don't want to deny a organization because they didn't do something.
So
That's a
Vic,
super minor edit.
Yeah,
Like,
so
that's an
whatever you're most
easy
comfortable with.
Edit.
Yeah.
And to your point, Adam, typically a notice of funding opportunity, you do want it to be pretty specific because people will go back and look at what that said and compare their application. And so I think that's probably an appropriate change. Yeah.
She's lived and breathed those domains. All right, Chris.
So this is also like minor and just wording related. So I'm looking at the application for annual funding, and I'm on page 13 and just kind of looking down from there, and it says mental health treatment tools, and there's a list of measures, and, then it down below says more mental health treatment tools, mental health recovery support tools. So these are not, obviously like treatment tools, they're outcome evaluation, instruments. So I think that there's a distinction to be made between like, what are you using to actually provide the treatment, which I think there is a section on evidence-based practice. But then to make clear to people, we're looking for like, what are you actually using to gather information to see if the treatment worked? And those are outcome evaluation tools, not treatment tools. So that's minor, but maybe confusing.
That's an easy fix, too.
Any other discussion on the NOFA or rubric? Amy?
Yep, sorry to jump back in, but now that Thomas has said it, I see it. The NOFA starts off with traumatic brain injury. It's right up in the front. It doesn't say traumatic, but it says brain. Yep. So that's all. It's just a comment that it's in there. And I think we decided we were going to leave it, right? So, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd just like to give another piece of information. Something else that we're adding this year is that our very experienced trainers up here are going to do a workshop that we're going to add on to for the NOFA this year. About a week after the NOFA opens, we're going to put a workshop out for anybody to come on and do a training on the budget, on the application process, on Found It, whatever it may be. And so we'll put that out, we'll put it on our website. It'll be virtual, it'll be recorded. That way we can send it out to people so that then everybody has the same opportunity to learn all of it. And so if you have any comments or questions or concerns about it, please let us know. But
I think that's great. I mean, I think for a couple reasons. One, because another board I'm on, and we have these fundings, that's exactly what they do, is, a couple sessions of training. And two, I like it because now if someone comes to us and says that we didn't know how to fill it out, or we didn't hit send, or, and it's after the date, I think now there is, well, you could have watched the video, or you could have attended the training. I mean, I think it's a really a great thing that just is, then makes it easier from our standpoint too. So thank you. Any other comments on NOFA or rubric? Any on the opioid funding, the next item on the rubric or NOFA? And I don't know if you had anything different to add on it, Amanda.
Not really. I mean, it's the same process that we went through for all of them, so very similar.
Anyone want to add anything on that one? Oh, no, don't be sorry. That's why we're here.
I'm sorry.
comments are welcome.
Isn't criterion singular and criteria plural?
Where,
So
and I can look that up.
Okay.
Where are you seeing it?
It's in the rubric.
Okay.
It starts in the opioid rubric, but I think it's in the others, and it says compliance criterion, and then meets 5 to 6 criterion.
Yep.
It's nitpicky, but I don't believe it's correct. I think it's criteria. Okay.
Thank you.
Good catch. Anyone else on rubric or NOFA? All right, then we'll move on to the guidelines. I think we did a little bit on it, but let's talk about the guidelines for allocation of funds. Is there anything you wanted to add, staff, before we open up for discussion?
There was, again, no changes other than updating, for the year and such. Again, it was just a reformatting for compliance, ADA compliance.
Okay, great. Any comments on that? All right, then I'll move on to the guidelines for opioid. I assume it's the same thing, but are there any changes or, okay.
Same thing.
Any comments on the opioid guidelines? All right, moving right along then. FY, item 3C5, FY27 funding application. And I think we've ventured into this a little bit too, but any other comments or thoughts? Or do you have anything to add over there? I don't know who's handling it, Amanda?
No, I think, based on all the things we've talked about, we've made sure that the application matches the rubric carefully.
So yeah, I think there were some good
That
catches.
one question was removed. I don't know if that makes a difference. And it's pretty much the same.
You good, Chris? Okay, anyone else? All right, then opioid settlement application, same thing. Any comments, either from the staff side or any board members? All right. Nope, okay, great. And like Bridget had mentioned, if you had any feedback too, or if you catch anything before the next meeting, if you could just let her know ahead of time, that would be great. So we are on to 3D, 3D1, FY25 wrap-up and fund balance update. Melanie, I assume that's you.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. There you are. All right.
All right, so one of the handouts you have in front of you is the available fund balance calculation. And just quickly before we talk about that, we had originally budgeted to use $1.9 million in fund balance. We wound up only using $445,000 in fund balance. So while that's good and it's making our money stretch, it's also not good in the fact that we're not spending down the fund balance as we had wanted. And, there's primarily the main reason for that is we got an extra, $1.1 million in revenue we hadn't expected, which is a good thing. The other elements was we spent $208,000 less than we expected for administration, and we spent $172,000 less than we expected for client services. So the client service number is good because that number used to be a much bigger number. We used to, get back $600,000, and now we're the providers are working more closely with us to monitor their use, and we sometimes hold back or don't give as much money based on what we're seeing their utilization. So it's been good that we're seeing most of those client service funds utilized. But overall, it was a good year for admin. We had a, 12.2% of our overall costs were administrative, so that's a pretty good percentage. So that's kind of the wrap up for 25. So we had our good and our bad. We didn't spend as much as we'd wanted, but we made more than we expected. So, so when we look at the available fund balance on this sheet with the yellow and the pink formatting, so our adjusted fund balance at the end of 25 is $10.4 million. If we back out the 3 months reserve we need to hold, that's $3.2 million. That leaves us with available fund balance of $7.2 million. So we've already budgeted for 26 to use $1.9 million of that. So that means going forward, we have $5.3 million in fund balance available to use above budgeted and fund balance reserve. So going forward into 27, this is kind of the number we can work with, what we feel comfortable, including in the budget, so forth. So any questions on that calculation or on the 25 wrap-up? All right. So moving on to the 27 discussion. I'm going to pull up the financial forecast on the screen there. You all have a copy of it because it's kind of hard to see. So we've been working on this financial forecast using, some set percentages. The sales tax revenue, we started out in 25 budgeting that we were anticipating $10 million. So the years going forward, we are taking that $10 million and doing a 3.5% increase. Well, if we continue to get sales tax numbers as, high as what we're seeing this year, it's going to be really hard to spend down that fund balance if we continue to budget lower sales tax revenue. So to kind of give you an idea, if we took, instead of the $10.3 million in sales tax this year, if we had taken and budgeted actual with a 3.5% increase, instead of spending $1.9 million in fund balance, we'd be only spending $700,000 in fund balance. So that wouldn't bring the fund balance down as we wanted. But then going into 27, a minute ago I was showing, if you look on the original one where it's unchanged, that we would need to put $1.2 million in fund balance if we had gotten that projected $10.7 million. So if we go forward at a higher sales tax anticipated revenue, we can better see where we might, what we might be able to spend or use. It's kind of concerning because we don't really have that much data to know that these numbers are realistic, but budgeting off of that $10 million number is not going to be realistic, I don't think. So I think we need to find a happy place where we're comfortable. So maybe we don't budget 11.9 million, but maybe we budget 11.5 for 27. But if we, don't adjust our budget and we get that 11.9, instead of using any fund balance, we'll actually be pretty much breaking even that year. So then we'd continue to grow our fund balance rather than bring it down. So once we do that, we can kind of play with our client service money. At this point, if we were to flat fund in 27 and we got the 11.9 million, we wouldn't be using fund balance and, that $10.7 million number. We're defining flat funding as keeping it at budgeted 25 levels going forward. But if we, didn't do that and we added into client services $1.5 million, now we'd be spending $1.5 million of fund balance. So, we've kind of got to decide where we're comfortable with. If we go forward now with the 3.5 off of the 25 actual and doing an extra $1.5 million every year in client services, you can see going forward, we're going to start still in 2031 adding back into fund balance rather than spending it. So we won't get below a 5% fund balance reserve, and we'd be able to increase client services every year by $1.5 million. But that's also assuming going forward that we get the higher revenue amounts. So just some kind of things to think about where we want to go with the 27 budget. I definitely think we need to increase the sales tax revenue we're projecting, and, maybe potentially increase what we're putting out for client services. So.
Great. I'll go to questions first. Adam?
Okay, just a comment to start. We've had a lot of changes with how we're doing this, and I think we can qualify the extra money that we have this year based on the big unknown that we had with this change in the sales tax levy, the property tax versus the sales tax. I operate on a very conservative basis. We're not going to see 3.5 consistently, and I don't think you're going to see that year over year going up. I think if we split the difference and said 1.5, 1 3/4, and increase accordingly, and then we can always come back, and we talked about the mid-year requests and kind of allow that to happen and maybe make that it might be a little bit more involved, but then we're doing what we're supposed to be doing with the money that we're getting. It would be great that we would, by 2032.
Oh, exactly. Well, see, the nice thing with this is even if we do budget more in 27 and we see that we're not getting those numbers, we're still in a safe enough place that we can adjust down going forward also, too.
Absolutely.
So that's.
I think if we can have, they used to call it the red, yellow, and green light project.
Well, that's kind of what it is, but we haven't hit the.
And that's what you would need to do. But
Nice to be.
I feel more comfortable lowering that number down a little bit and just knowing what we have, because we are an independent entity, if something does happen, like we have to replace all the lights to tomorrow, we have that money. Something else happens, there's a catastrophic event that happens to the building.
Well, and also to that fact, I'm plugging that number into client services, but if there was a building project, part of that money could be client services and part of it can be
Sure.
building. So it's just kind of getting that total like starting number.
Yeah, no, and I know
And-
it's hard
yeah.
to kind of factor that in and figure that out, but I think it's unrealistic that we're going to maintain 3.5.
Oh, I do too. And this is kind of like.
I would love it. I
This
would
is
love
kind
it,
of like
but-
high end, just
Yeah.
kind of like overview, like, if this were to happen, we got to find a balance somewhere in between.
And
We're-
this is,
right now.
again, we're still in that first year
Yeah.
of sorting this out, and I don't know. Next year will be the true version of what happens, and even the year after, then we'll definitely know what cards we have in our deck.
Am I doing this right?
Jim, yep, I gotcha.
Okay, I don't.
You're good.
Sitting on hospital boards, we do now, we certainly have a yearly budget that we look at, certainly at the behavioral health hospital and the system itself, but we always do now, our budgets are shifting on a quarterly basis. We look at, our navigation and the volatility that is constantly happening. I mean, we were just the other day, we got millions of dollars cut off for some aid, and they came back a week later. We're about ready to dismiss, and then we were able to adjust it, so all of a sudden that email popped up. You got your money back. So we have to constantly be able to adjust on a quarterly basis. And even now, I don't know if that's appropriate. I know we do that on a hospital system that's billions of dollars.
Yeah, government's a little different.
Pardon me?
The government's a little different. We kind of set our budget and you stick to it, and it's a process to change it. So yeah.
I'm just curious how that's done here. But we have to constantly adjust. Am I doing that right here?
Yeah.
Thank you.
As far as the government budgeting, this is what you got. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. We're lucky in the way we are flexing some of the things that we can, but it's very solidified. Is that a good word, Melanie?
Yeah.
About where everything needs to go, and if you don't, there needs to be justifications for that, and that's the challenge. And I'm sure Tom knows about that too. It just is like, no, we don't have the money, sorry, so I wish it was more flexible. I know the finance team does a great job watching that very carefully, and if we need to make the adjustments, they bring it to the board so we know, but.
It's a process.
Well, and we allocate our funds on an annual basis, so it would be a small percentage that we would be able to do that adjustment for. But yeah, I mean, those come along the way. I mean, we do occasionally do those adjustments. So, okay, Tom?
Hey, just first statement here, and this is a good problem to have. You got to feel a little gratitude that we actually have a funding revenue source that's been better than we anticipated, so. Yeah, giving it a little thought, you can certainly allocate, extra money to our service providers. But one thing that I don't see on here is any of our service providers that have capital improvement projects that they could use a big amount of seed money to start that up and running. It would just be a one-time sort of.
Well, that's another discussion we can have. I mean, you could either put extra money in, you could say, okay, we're going to flat fund normal services, but we're going to put out a NOFA for capital and set a certain amount of money aside for that if that's what the board chose to do. I mean.
I read through the application. This was the first time I saw it just this past week. I didn't see anything like in that application, like needs-based, like if you had money to fund another project that would be a one-time fee, what would you look at? Do we ever put out a needs base? Like, we have ongoing funding for our service providers. They know what to expect and kind of understand that. But if they knew that they had access to, additional funds, what would they do with it?
So we have a capital requests policy where they can ask for capital. We don't necessarily have money to fund those sometimes, but sometimes we do. It just depends on the ask and what we're what we're seeing, or if we set anything aside for a project like that.
Carolyn, you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
going to say, so historically, it's not something we do, capital. In fact, I think there was a time when we didn't do it at all. And for a few reasons. One, because it's not ours then. So if we're buying a facility or we're buying, investing that into capital, that becomes the agency's capital. It's not ours anymore. So it's really not a service to us. I mean, so we've done it on a few SILAs. I think we were doing it on some transitional housing when we really felt like there was a gap that needed to be filled. But we're very, very selective on the capital projects that we do for that reason. Like that when we invest in it, it is no longer ours. So unless it's really filling a gap in services that could be provided to our community, it's a hard one to invest in. So we're very, very selective. People know that they can do it and that it can be brought, but and it will come occasionally. They come through they come through the annual cycle. But at the same time, too, we last year had a $200,000. Was it close to that?
The CIC?
It was over 200.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, 261.
That we did put into, and then it ended up, the project
out.
didn't work out. So we then had $280,000 that didn't get allocated into other services that could have been done for that year. So, and then that goes back. Yes, we can still allocate that elsewhere, but it's just, there's a lot with capital that is just not really fitting within the mission of what we try to accomplish. So we are very selective in how we move forward on any kind of capital requests. And I just wanted to also, kind of along those same lines, we've had them, we were kind of trying this mid-year cycle to then use that as capital expenditures. Like if there was somebody that said, oh, I have a capital project, we knew kind of what that overage was. And then in the cycle that we do in like May and decide in June, we were prioritizing possibly capital projects. So that was what we were saving. So it wasn't taking from the regular allocation and service cycle. It was actually that extra that came back and would go into fund balance, but then we were utilizing that for capital projects specifically. So that's really how that initially evolved, was for that utilization. And anyone can jump in if they remember it differently, but I will hand it to you, Chris.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so lots of thoughts. I think, Adam, I agree with you. I think, gas prices going up. We just talked about energy prices going up. That is probably going to have an impact on spending, which is going to have an impact on the sales tax, people's available disposable income, which also increases the need in the community in terms of mental health and substance use, under like the drivers of need. That and reduction in Medicaid funding will increase unmet need in the community. So we have these like countervailing forces. We want to address the need at a higher rate, knowing we might not get the same sales tax, kind of bump that we got this year. So, I want to put more into client services, but I also don't want to, overextend, partly because I kind of don't, if it ends up not being sustainable, I don't want our service providers to hire people that we then can't, continue to fund, because that creates difficulty also. So there's lots to consider. And I had the same thought as you, Tom, in terms of we can reduce the fund balance using capital projects that don't create an enduring commitment to be able to continue to fund positions that if we don't continue to receive the same rate of sales tax revenue, we won't be able to. So yeah, I think increasing client services funding is reasonable and supported by what we're seeing, and also recognizing we probably will not continue to grow at the same rate we have is also consideration.
Tom?
This will be the last comment I'll make on the
it's what we're here
issue,
for.
and then we can move along. I'm with you, Adam. I think we got to be more conservative. I have a lot of time during the day, so I watch a lot of TV, and I see the economic forecast that's coming up, and it's pretty, group of experts have a consensus that you're looking at a sustained downturn in the economy, and it could even be a 50-50 chance of a recession and a drop of about 10 to 15% in people's investment portfolios. If that comes along, there's going to be a lot more need for services that are going to need, individuals that will need to be funded for that, because there's going to be loss of jobs. People have reduced money to spend on their own health needs, so that's also something to look at too, is that where do we expect to be in a year?
So, oh, wait, let me see. Oh, sorry. So I'll let Amy talk and then I'll kind of wrap it up.
Do you want to?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Because I want to hear what you have to say first.
Oh, okay, all right. I was going to say, if you're going to respond, okay. So I have a couple thoughts, and they're not really related, other than they're under this general topic. I know that, and if the answer is no, that's fine, but I know that we've been working on some, I don't want to say internal, but some, like our social media campaign, for example. And is there any opportunity for us to expand funding for some of our projects with the fund balance that would benefit all of our providers by advertising our services more or drawing more towards us? So I wanted to put that out there. I want the money to go to the providers, but since we're sitting here with this great problem to have, as Thomas said, is there anything internally that we could allocate toward where if we didn't have that, well, at least it's not a provider that's missing it, it's just us. So that's one thought. I would love to examine that. Second, because I always feel very much like, all right, what number are we going with? Like, do we, just to throw a number out there, I know Adam said, like, I think 1 1/4, like, is 1 3/4, sorry, yes, that's what I meant. But like, is 2 too high? Because I'm guessing at our next meeting, we need a number to react to, or maybe not at the next one, somewhere down the road. But I agree, 3.5 is too high. So are we looking now to come up with something for, here's the number we're going to work with, or do we
So
just
I'm not
need-
asking you guys for a set number. I'm just kind
Okay.
of a direction. I can kind of play with some numbers based on what you're saying and come up with kind of a
what seems
more
reasonable?
of a medium,
Yep.
you know, not as, this is was more of an extreme
Okay,
idea.
okay, perfect.
So I can kind of play and get some, and that'll come out in the draft budget in April. I just wanted to, you know, we had talked
what our
about
thoughts were.
maintaining that $10 million at the
Yeah.
3.5% and just going with the flat funding. But we're not going to spend down the fund balance at this point if we continue to
I
do
mean,
that.
I would love to do a little more than flat fund. If we feel like that is reasonable, like it's, I don't want to give something and then take it away, but to go into another year of we're going to flat fund you just doesn't really feel great to me, but I appreciate that you're going to take the numbers and massage them, and I've been talking for a while, so.
Well, I think that as a board, you should maybe sit on it, right, and think about it, and at the next meeting, at your next regular meeting, maybe have some discussions. You don't need to make a motion, you don't need to come back with it, but you have to give Melanie some sort of direction to feed the budget, and even if it's a couple different, maybe, so that we can start filling that budget, backfilling that budget, so that eventually you can vote on that full budget, because if there's no direction at all, or if we're just starting at flat funding, that's, so we just have to have some sort of direction. So on Tuesday, maybe have some sort of direction.
Well, I think I'm kind of giving a direction
Okay.
for what I'm
Yeah, and I
hearing.
was going to wrap up. That's actually what I was going to say. What I'm kind of hearing is the consensus that, I mean, I too am with Adam's suggestion of kind of going in between, you know,
Yeah.
on a conservative, going a little above the flat funding, but not quite, because I don't think we feel fully comfortable only having a year, and we kind of need
Right.
that 2 years to really have an idea of what it's going to look like. So, but I do think, you know, it would give a little bit of extra on that, and that would be great if we could do that. And if not, we, you know, we
Trust.
have the fund balance there that can make up for that. So, but if we go too big, we may get ourselves
Yeah, we don't
in
wanna
a
sink the
little bit-
ship, yeah. Right.
Yeah, trouble with the fund balance. So, yeah, so I appreciate, that's the consensus I'm getting. So I think that's I think I see heads nodding too, so I think that's kind of the direction, unless we hear otherwise, we can revisit it at the next meeting if anyone's changed. I wanted to respond to Amy's first question about potential areas. I know we've talked about 2 areas I can think of if, really this grant writer, if people start utilizing the grant writer, and how we talked about potentially even extending it to other nonprofits that, meet some guidelines and kind of provide similar services, but yet aren't one of our network providers. That could be a possibility of increasing that grant writer. And then training is the other thing that I can think of. I mean, we've had a bunch of people saying they really could utilize training. And if, I know you do a survey, so maybe we can pull some more trainings that would be, I know first responder training is one that keeps coming back, for a group of individuals, but, that specific agency may not be able to afford it. But, if we do it here, then we could have 5 different agencies participate in that training. So I think that's another area. I don't know if, Bridget, you had any other thoughts or suggestions on ones that, maybe we could increase that wouldn't necessarily be specific to services.
Well, I was going to suggest those as well, because Carol and I have been meeting with agencies, our agencies and outside agencies as well. And that's one of the questions that we continue to ask. What are some shared services that among agencies internally and externally that we could possibly fill gaps with? So we are going to continue to ask that question to see if there's ways that we can fill gaps, not necessarily through the NOFA, but with contracts and with shared services. So we'll continue to report as we hear anything like that. So.
Yeah, that sounds good, yeah. And those are the 2, honestly, that
Absolutely.
we have heard, I think, everyone we've visited so far, so.
Yep.
Okay. Any other on the budget, FY27 budget discussion, or else we'll move on to the mid-year allocation process? Melanie, do you want to touch on a little bit, but let's formalize it. I touched on a little bit, I should say.
So what we're actually proposing is doing the same process as last year. So first, we want to confirm that last year, what we did, we only opened up the mid-year funding to fee-for-service providers. We didn't open it up to grant or POPs. We didn't open it up to capital. And we basically, any fee-for-service program received a mid-year follow-up form, which is on the screen right now, where they put in what additional funding they wanted or felt they needed, what it would be used for, how many additional clients it would serve, and so forth. So everybody had a 1-month window, April 15th to May 15th, to submit this. Then we reviewed it as the staff, determined if the ask was reasonable, if we saw them utilizing the same amount. Then we kind of spread what we had available to all the reasonable asks, and were able to fund pretty much all but one agency that asked for additional funding. We were able to give them some additional funding. So the process seemed to work out well. So our thought was to use that same process this year, as long as the board's in agreement that those mid-year funds would be for fee-for-service funding. Or if you wanted to open it up to any other funding, we'd have to consider a different process. At this point, we have about $360,000 of unallocated funding and about $40,000 of unspent funding from the first quarter that I know that we can come back and reallocate. When it comes time to actually do the reallocation, we'll go through the admin budget, see if there's any admin budget we can pull back into client services. We'll evaluate all the other programs and see if there's unutilized funds that we can pull back from current funding agreements. But right now, we're basically looking at $400,000 for mid-year allocations. So that's kind of where we're at with that. If you want to continue the same process, is the main point. And if it is, we would send out the follow-up form to fee-for-service providers in April again. So.
Any comments on the process or thoughts? Amy?
Yep, I'm very comfortable with the same process. I think that fee-for-service is definitely a need, and I think it made a lot of sense last year when we came to the decision with your guidance to allocate the funds that way. I don't hear or see a compelling reason from my perspective to change it, so my feeling is that we keep it the same.
Anyone else? I don't remember not including capital projects before. Did we just not have any, or did we specifically exclude it?
We didn't exclude it. In fact, we had CAC came at about the same time and did ask for funding.
Which I think we entertained.
We did entertain, but at the time, they had other opportunities to
Right.
get funding, so we asked them to explore that first.
Right.
And, we talked about, so what they wound up doing is they got funding from the county for a good portion of it, and then they took out a loan for the remainder, and we've been helping them in their current year budget to pay back that loan. So they were getting occupancy costs. So we were able to help them out, but not through that normal capital process. We did not have any other funds. We didn't disclude it, but we didn't encourage, basically, capital requests. And we focused on filling those fee-for-service requests instead.
And personally, I mean, I would like that, because I know when CAC came, and others too, I like that we can work with them and have all those ideas on the table and opportunities. But at the same time, I don't like just being the, one stop of, here we go, we want
This
all
is
of
the
this.
easy
And,
request?
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
I think that was a great solution. But at the same time, I think it was good to entertain it. I'm not opposed if there's another, I don't want to, advertise it, but I'm not opposed that if a Capital One came, that I think we've had those discussions that this would be a good time to use those funds, because it's not taking away from the regular allocations. But I like this process. I think that we make our decisions in October based on the ability to be able to utilize this process for those fee-for-service ones. So I'm fine with the same, but with the caveat of, if there was a capital, I would listen to it again.
Right. Just to kind of give you a heads up, we're already seeing agencies with a need for, one agency's could take another $600,000 if we let them. Their utilization is that high already this year. Another is $60,000. So, there are agencies that could use the fee-for-service funding. So it's kind of like, if you do this process, then to pull in capital is kind of, you're already looking at a limited pool, so that's kind of a hard request too, because capitals are usually 200,000 or up, so.
Right.
Right, but I'm just
yeah.
saying. Yeah.
I
And
think it's more appropriate maybe, though, to use it at this time and make those decisions versus like taking it from the regular allocation
Right.
cycle. I'd entertain it. Let's just say that.
Exactly. We can
Anyone
always
else
pull in more fund balance if we want.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to, and I hope that we don't do that too. Like, I think that, that 400,000, and when we do this, is if I remember correctly, you let us know, you used their number, but you also let us know like their requested number or something too, didn't we?
Yeah, I did their requested number, what I was showing their utilization would be, and then basically what we were able to fund.
And then like their projection as to where they'll be at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Oh, Amy.
Back. I know that we were lucky enough to bring some new providers under our wing this year. I'm sure you've already thought about it, but this would be a new process to them. Are we doing extra TLC to make sure that the folks that are used to it are aware of it, but then the newbies also are? I'm not sure how many of those are fee-for-service, but I just wanted
Rock
to
and the
make that
Spectrum would
comment.
be the only one, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think Grief Guide is,
No, she's a PO. She's a
Yeah.
grant.
This process will also be brought up at Network Council on Monday, too. So, yeah, we'll have an overview of it, so, and they all are required to be there, so, yeah.
Great. Anyone else on this? Otherwise, good. I think we're good to go on that one. So we'll talk about that. All right. Old business, 4A annual report draft.
Okay, so this is our draft, and then the final report will be on Tuesday, and hopefully we can, you can vote on the final report, and then we'll be sending it out at the end of the month to meet our state requirements. So we had some suggestions at the board development that we took into play. Some of the stuff we actually removed and changed up a little bit, as you'll see. We did have one request to make it, have something that said, why should we read this? This is what we came up with, McHenry County sales tax dollars at work. So I don't know if you like that, you don't like that. We'll take suggestions. You like it? Okay.
I like it.
So that was our little tagline. The financials look a little bit different because, again, we're slowly working towards this ADA accessible. This is the printable copy, but it will look differently once we put it on the website. Everything slowly but surely is going to look very differently. So I'm going to say again, your board packet next month is going to look very differently. Then we changed up some of the accomplishments. We removed a couple that didn't make sense, edited a few. Thank you to some of you who found some errors in there. And then we removed the funding type definitions because we just removed that because it just didn't seem to really make sense. It's an internal process. It didn't seem to make sense. So we put funding by need on there and funding by service type. We did take into account that somebody made the comment that it was redundant having both on there, but again, with the ADA accessibility thing, it was nice to have a visual and then have a chart. So we kept them both on there. And then the last is just the about. And again, we have completely simplified this annual report. I think we cut it in half. So if anybody has any comments or any changes, please let us know. Lindsay has completely redesigned it, and she's done an awesome job. So, yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for all the work on it, because I really like it, and I
Anybody
feel like it's just long enough for, to contain information, but short enough for people to actually read.
Yeah.
So,
I think it does the job.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is-
So I
Did anybody
appreciate it.
see any other edits or anything that they'd like changed? Wonderful.
Adam, okay.
One? Okay.
You guys popping on me quickly.
Page 3, you have all those bullet points.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them that have periods, the rest of them don't.
We knew it. We looked so many times. All right.
That's
sounds
me,
good. You got it.
that's what I do, so.
No, we
sorry.
appreciate that because there was a couple things that we had a typo that we looked so many times and implement was spelled wrong twice, but we got it. All right, thank you. Anything else? No matter how many times you look, you find a typo, I swear. Thank you for that. Perfect, thank you.
All right, great, thanks. Any new business? Nope. President's report, I don't really have a whole lot. I will say that Bridget and I went to Rosecrans, so I might as well say it now because it's the meeting since then. So I don't have a whole lot to evaluate, but it was, it was great and full of information, and got a little tour of their facility, which is very nice. So if you don't have a chance, I didn't even honestly. I didn't get any swag.
When I was there, I got a ton of swag.
I didn't get any swag. I didn't even see any swag.
Oh, well, you're missing out, man.
Oh, man.
I got swag.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, I was there for a visit.
I think I got a pen. We got a pen or something, didn't we? I got a folder. I got a folder, man, and a lunch, but yeah, no. But so I just like to report back the ones we went to. So if anyone has any questions, feel free. I don't know if, Bridget, you want to add anything to it? It's just.
It was a great visit. Yeah, they had some suggestions about trainings, and they did
Yes.
talk about, some like Medicaid trainings, and we were talking about possibly doing that, adding it to, to the QMT.
Yes.
So that we've had a couple agencies reach out about doing trainings about Medicaid, redeterminations and stuff like that. So Amanda's looking into that. So,
That's great, because, yeah, that was, they had some really good, feedback and input and got our wheels
Yeah,
churning. and-
absolutely.
So, yeah, that's what our point is, to kind of have it very collaborative when we go
Yeah.
out there and express to them our goal this year of really collaborating and sharing services and really partnering with, our interagencies and our out-of-network agencies and governmental agencies. So, yeah, it's kind of more of a joint visit and missions, so. All right. So then I don't really have anything else to report on President's report. There's nothing else on there. Member comments? Any member comments? Amy?
One place that I keep meaning to go to and then don't, so I'm more wondering if anyone else is already planning it so that I can actually get on my butt and go. Home of the Sparrow. I've been very interested in visiting. You are? Can I go?
Yeah, we'll give you
Okay,
the date,
there's
see if
an-
you can make it.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, I'll send you the date that we're going.
Excited, thank you.
And Jim?
Yeah, I'd be happy to go out and visit different agencies that I'm very familiar with as well. I also noticed on here, I know it says Alexian Brothers, but it's no longer Alexian Brothers, it's Ascension. Whatever that,
Oh, on the report?
yes, I just on that, where it says. it's a-
Yeah.
It's Ascension, I'm just very aware of that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Change that before we send that out.
Yeah, see. Yeah, and what we try to do is like, if we're going
love to,
somewhere, we'll
yeah.
offer it up and if we can, one other board member can join us. So whoever grabs it first is, the one that can
Because you
join.
can't have more than others?
We can't have more than two. We're just doing
can only have two.
Yeah, for the
Yeah,
Open
that's
Meetings
right.
Act. We're-
Yeah.
So Bridget will usually go, and then I'll go, and then we can
Right.
bring one other board
Open
member
board,
along.
yeah.
So we
Yeah.
will let you know when.
Got it.
Yeah.
First come, first serve.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. All right, anyone else?
Thank you.
All right, then if I can get, before that, I'll ask for motion, but our next meeting's Tuesday, our regular board meeting, Tuesday, March 24th. So if I could get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion, second? Is there a second?
Second, huh?
Okay.
Have at it.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.